Welcome to Game Talk Central. My name is Dominic.
And I'm OB.
I saw her and she hit me like that. Saw that thing so beautiful.
Here with
I'm today's guest, Mr. Joe McClellan.
not in a rude way. How old are you?
This year I turned 39, so the late 30s are hitting
All right.
hard.
So, while growing up, what would you say your favorite video game was like? What was it?
Wow. Well, that's a big question, Dominic. Probably like once it happened, Super Mario 64, or maybe Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. But before that, like I had played lots of video games for sure. Super Mario Brothers 3 was probably like mind-blowing when it first came out for the NES. And then I was a Sega Genesis person, so like Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Mortal Kombat. But yeah, once we got to like the N64 era, I was 14, so that was, everybody wanted that. Super Mario Brothers was like the big deal. And Ocarina of Time, we didn't think it could get any better.
What was the first game you've ever played?
The first games that I ever played would have been on like a Texas Instruments computer, like a TI-99, so look that up. And it would have been something like Q*bert, and there was another one that I recall called like Hunt the Wumpus, and these were like super early graphical games that were not text-based.
So, what would be like the most popular game when you were growing up, like Mario? Would that be?
Probably, although even when I was a kid, like we had Madden and like NHL, so I can remember playing like NHL 94, Madden games. Those were like big when I was in like middle school or maybe elementary school. Like NHL 94, I would have only been 9 years old, so that was an early contender for like something popular to play at school. And then once I got to like middle school or early high school, we did start to have internet connections with consoles, so I can remember playing like NFL 2K1 on the Sega Dreamcast. I remember being big because you could actually like connect to the internet and play against people. You know what else was big, before I forget, was like Team Fortress Classic. So before like TF2, we used to play TFC. And that was, I mean, I had dial-up internet, and I would still try to play that with like huge pings of like 500 milliseconds. And that was popular when I was in high school, Team Fortress Classic.
Okay, so from now to back when you were a kid, how much have like the games changed, graphic-wise, and just?
Yeah, if you find at this point, if you can put on the screen like Q*bert, I don't know if you guys have ever even heard of that. There was like a pyramid of blocks, and you would jump from
down,
like the top to like try to change all the colors. Of course, like Pac-Man was big even before I was around. But even the NES era started to do some cool things, like the old Final Fantasies, like original Final Fantasy looked pretty good for the time. And look up like Dragon Warrior. That was a pretty big one. Of course, then once we got to like the 16-bit era, I know playing like Street Fighter 2 on a Super Nintendo, that was pretty mind-blowing. But I even had, as a kid, we had this Apple IIe computer, so the screen was either green or black. Those are the only two colors. And I remember playing text-based games, so it would say like you are in a hall, you like wake up in a hallway, and like all you can see is one door, and you'd have to type in like walk to the door. And if you didn't type it just right, if you typed like walk forward, it would say like no, try again. So you'd have to like figure out exactly what to type. So we had text-based games. That was really kind of before my time, but I remember playing those. So of course now, when you advance to some of these things using Unreal Engine 5, and you will watch like brand new Tomb Raider games or stuff like that, like obviously graphics are, I'm not sure they can get more realistic yet. I don't know what you guys think, but I feel like we're approaching like peak fake graphical power, and maybe with AI now we'll start getting into like more human-like. But
I have a question. What do you think gaming will be like in the next 10 years? I'm curious, because Obi and I thought
It would like be virtual.
reality, like all of it.
Yeah, have you seen those things where you like stand on this octagon and it's really, you strap your waist into like this harness?
Ready
You
Player
can
One.
run.
walk.
Yeah.
Ready Player One.
Yeah, I've seen. And we haven't solved how like VR just kind of makes your head hurt after a little while.
Oh yeah.
So I still think it'll be like screen based, and you'll sit there with like a controller. The companies seem to have decided, like Microsoft and Sony seem to have decided that like the controllers that they've come up with can't really get any better. Nintendo's the innovator, so right now I'm waiting to see like, will the Switch 2 just be what it is, or they've always kind of jumped from, you know, NES to Super NES. It was like same controller, more buttons basically, but then, you know, you jump to like N64, funky looking controller, Wii, motion controls, Wii U, put the screen on the gamepad, Switch of course is like TV or handheld. So I really don't know what Nintendo's going to come up with, but they've already said Switch 2 dev kits are like about to roll out, so.
Yeah.
So the old Nintendo controllers, do you know how it had like the handles and then the one in the middle? What was that for?
So that was in the N64 era. The old NES gamepads were like as big as your phone, and they had a D-pad, up, down, left, right, select and start, and then B and A. Super Nintendo added X and Y, so you had B, A, X, Y, and then they had shoulder bumpers also. When you got to N64, the center stalk had the joystick, so your right hand was like always basically on the right of the controller, and it had buttons. And then the center stalk had a joystick, and on the back it had a trigger, or you could move your hand out, and then it had a D-pad and a shoulder bumper. So it was kind of like, did you want to use joystick controls, or did you want to use like a D-pad? So for fighting game, like Mortal Kombat, we'd play with a D-pad to make it easier to do like down, forward, or like combos on there. But then a lot of like first-person shooting got big. So whether it was Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, that was like the N64's big first one, Doom 64, GoldenEye and Perfect Dark were like the games back in the day. I forgot to mention GoldenEye, but like when that dropped for split screen multiplayer, you'd get all your buddies in a room and just say like, don't watch my screen, and then just play GoldenEye. That was like the Fortnite of the day. Like all you guys go nuts about Fortnite. That was
Yeah.
GoldenEye.
Okay. So when you were younger, how much did your gaming consoles and like games separately bought cost?
Yeah, you are used to, like nowadays, most games for the base version cost like 60,
Yep.
and then they microtransact you sometimes higher, like expansion pass or collector stuff. But even back in the day, like we would have games that were like $70, which in today's money is probably over $100 just for one game. Like there were some N64 games that came with like a rumble pack or an expansion pack that you like had to buy for the game. There's only a couple games like that, but those games would be $70, and that would be in like 1996 or 7. So if you run a calculation of like what was $1 worth back then and put that on the screen, that'll tell you. I can remember as a kid, like I got the original PlayStation, and I think it was $300 even back then. But there were other consoles. Look up like a 3DO. I think they were like $700, and that was in 1994 or 5. So it would probably be like twice as much now. So imagine paying. That's like a whole PC.
Yeah.
And those games were horrible, and it was like a gimmick. And
Yeah.
so what's funny is like the actual top price of a lot of these things is kind of the same as it is now. But when you account for inflation, they were actually more expensive back then.
Have you ever played Spyro?
Spyro the Dragon.
Yeah.
So that came out for the original PlayStation. I didn't get that until it was like a PlayStation Classic, and I think it was like a Sony re-release, and then you could start buying games for like $15 or $20 on like a special little CD case. But I can remember distinctly playing that. Now, of course, they have like redone it for newer consoles and remastered it. That was one of Sony's attempts to like find the magic of like Mario and Donkey Kong, like those games that you would play for N64. Sony wanted an equivalent, so they had Crash Bandicoot and like Spyro the Dragon, and then Ratchet and Clank eventually.
I've played Spyro before. It's pretty fun because my grandpa, he collects old PlayStation.
Yeah, there are a lot of those games like stand the test of time, and if emulation is legal because you already own the game, they're very fun to go back and play.
Were you huge into like the Grand Theft Auto when they came out, or were you not like into that?
Well, OG Grand Theft Auto was top down and two-dimensional, so all you could see was your car in the middle, and you were like driving around the cityscape. So I had Grand Theft Auto 2, and there was also one called like Grand Theft Auto London, which was like an offshoot. And I think I bought those in a 2-pack, and I enjoyed those. But then, of course, when Grand Theft Auto 3 came out and it was 3D, and there was like a whole storyline that played out in cutscenes, and there was a bigger city to explore, that we thought was very fun.
What would you say your favorite memory was back then playing video games? Like with friends maybe?
Nothing beats probably like the original Xbox, which came out with Halo Combat Evolved in 2001, because I graduated high school in 2003. So from 2001 to 2003, it was just like all about playing Halo in a friend's basement and like eating food and either playing the co-op split screen on one TV or playing like 4-player, or you could start to network your 4 Xboxes together. So we would have bigger parties of like 12 and 16 guys all in one big basement room with like a bunch of TVs and cables and all that stuff. Halo 2 is when Xbox Live became a thing. So once that happened, then we were all in college, so we'd go sit around each other's dorm rooms and stuff and like watch somebody play and take turns.
Yeah.
Were you guys into like the Call of Duty, Black Ops, and all that?
Those didn't. So I'm trying to think. Modern Warfare. Well, Call of Duty 3, I think, is like when online started to pick up for Call of Duty. Then you had Call of Duty 4, which was Modern Warfare, and then Call of Duty 5, which was Black Ops. So those would have released. Like Modern Warfare was big just as I was graduating college. So actually, when I got like my first little house, I'd go do like substitute teaching during the day and then come back and play Modern Warfare, which I was very good at, but probably would not be as good now because I haven't practiced in a while.
Yeah. Have you played Halo Reach?
Yeah, Halo Reach was big for the Halo series because the mechanics changed a little bit, and we really enjoyed some of the mechanics changes. Like you could finally sprint, which was like a separate ability, and you started to be able, I think, in Reach to like mantle. Is that the first one you could grab the edge of like a ledge and like actually hop up onto it? Call of Duty was slick because it did that, and Halos didn't do that back in the day. All these games that for you were probably when you were like very, very small were all when I was already like an adult living on my own. So
yeah,
I did have a lot of time to play them, but I started to be able to like have to have a job and keep track of my wife and all that.
Well, I think that's it. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me on Game Talk Central. See everybody next time.
All right, who is this? Who am I here with?
You said you wanted to be a professional basketball player. What teams have you played for, Eric?
Well, my first year, I played in.
Holden.
All right, Holden. So, what was your first video game you've ever played?
Probably Cars. Like the movie Cars.
What?
It's like the movie Cars. You like pick a car, you like go on a track and you shoot each other.
So like, have you ever played Disney Infinity?
No.
Those games were fun.
Yeah, Skylanders. It was like Skylanders.
Yeah.
With Disney. All right. What was the first console you've ever?
Xbox 360.
Oh my gosh. Loser.
You have a Wii?
No.
This kid
where it
wasn't
was
allowed
at.
to play video games. Or he's just so young that like the Wii, like the Xbox was out. Like Obi, we didn't have the Xbox. No, we had the Xbox, but yeah. What was your favorite memory from gaming? Like it could be recent or like
Having to race to the console in the morning because my brother would always get there first because he'd wake up at like 5 a.m. just to get there.
I've done that before. Yeah, that's tough. Don't play on Xbox, guys. That's what happens. Like, you gotta race your brother.
I don't have an Xbox anymore.
Good. What do you play on PlayStation 5?
PC.
Oh, alright. So what games do you play right now? Fortnite.
No, I was gonna say Legend of Zelda.
Are you serious right now, bro?
Fortnite, 2K.
Do you play Rainbow Six Siege?
No, I don't have that. Destiny 2.
2K on PC. 2K on PC.
The sweet's called Hoba Boba. Hoba Boba.
Coffee, spelled backwards, is E-Hard, which is funny. It's E-Hard. And it's funny. It's E-Hard. And it's funny.
Yeah, shit. Holy crap. It sounded weird. Alright. How was that, like, on PC?
I use a controller.
Oh, okay. When you got your first Xbox, what was it like? Like, did your parents get it for you, or like for you and your brother, or for just your brother?
My grandparents got it for both of us for Christmas.
That's awesome.
Oh, wait, I got one. Okay. What was the most expensive video game you've ever bought?
Were your parents had bought you?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know. I have no idea. The only one I've ever bought was $30.
What was it?
Yeah,
2K.
Thank you for watching this week of Game Talk Central.
Sorry about last week. We had a little Easter breaks, so we weren't at school Friday, and it was just some big conundrum.
Oh, yeah.
But we have an episode this week. It's a long one. It's a great one too. Wait, they already watched it if they're this far. Crap. We can put this at the beginning.
No, we're keeping it at the end just to be stupid.
Alright.
I'm OB,
I'm Dominic.
and we'll see you next Friday.
Alright, wait, don't. Alright, let's just talk. Let's just add a little segment at the beginning of this saying, sorry about last Friday. We weren't at school. We had spring break. So here's this week's episode of Game Talk Central.
Was that it? Or was that a test? Oh,
That was it.
I was looking at you like an idiot the whole time.
Alright, here. Hello, welcome to Game Talk Central. My name is Dominic.
And I'm OB. Wait, we already did this.
No, wait,
Or we're
just
about
trust.
No, we're about to. We just said that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright, welcome to Game Talk Central. My name is Dominic.
I'm OB.
And this week's episode, sorry about not posting last week. We had spring break. It was all just some big conundrum. But we have a long episode this week, a good one. We have a special guest, as you will see in the thumbnail. And have fun watching this episode.
And we're going to say this all again in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And, no, now we got to do another outro, because in the outro you said that why we weren't here.
Before it's too late. No, I heard he did it.
You're lying. I'm waiting for you to fart.
Come over here.
No.
Oh. That's bad. I have another one coming, I think. Sorry, dude, stop.
This is going in the end of the video.
That's not before. Alright, stop.